choice moment between guys.
This is really nice. You got a thing for swans? Is this like a fetish? It's something like maybe we need to devote some time to?
Thought about what you said to me the other day about my painting. Stayed up half the night thinking about it. Something occurred to me. I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep and haven't thought about you since. You know what occurred to me?
No.
You're just a kid. You don't have the faintest idea what you're talking about.
Why, thank you.
It's all right. You've never been out of Boston.
Nope.
So if I asked you about art, you'd probably give me the skinny on every art book ever written. Michelangelo. I know a lot about him. Life's work, political aspirations, him and the Pope, sexual orientation, the whole works, right? I bet you can't tell me what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel. You never actually stood there and looked up at that beautiful ceiling. Seen that. If I ask you about women, you'd probably give me a syllabus of your personal favorites. You may have even been laid a few times. But you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy. You're a tough kid. I ask you about war, you'd probably throw Shakespeare at me, right? Once more into the breach, dear friends. But you've never been near one. You've never held your best friend's head in your lap and watch him gasp his last breath looking to you for help. I ask you about love, you'd probably quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. Known someone that could level you with her eyes. Feeling like God put an angel on earth just for you. Who could rescue you from the depths of hell. And you wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel. To have that love for her be there forever. Through anything. Through cancer. And you would know about sitting up in a hospital room for 2 months, holding her hand, because the doctors could see in your eyes that the terms visiting hours don't apply to you. You don't know about real loss, because that only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much. I look at you, I don't see an intelligent, confident man. I see a cocky, scared, shitless kid. But you're a genius, Will. No one denies that. No one could possibly understand the depths of you. But you presume to know everything about me because you saw a painting of mine. You ripped my fucking life apart. You're an orphan, right? Do you think I'd know the first thing about how hard your life has been? How you feel? Who you are? Because I read Oliver Twist? Does that encapsulate you? Personally, I don't give a shit about all that, because you know what? I can't learn anything from you. I can't read in some fucking book. Unless you want to talk about you. Who you are. Then I'm fascinated. I'm in. But you don't want to do that, do you, sport? You're terrified of what you might say. Your move, Chief.
Yeah, it starts out with, some anger from Robin Williams. And then he kind of moves into a little bit of more sadness in his expressions, talking about loss, talking about several losses, and then talking about, of course, the loss of his wife. And at that point, it's like, oh man, it's hitting home for myself. Like, that would be really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see Matt Damon a little bit shrink almost,
Mm-hmm.
like dissociate under like the kind of like, oh yeah, that's the button that I pushed. And it's like he's not proud anymore of it,
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting monologue. So, in movies, they're trying to make the therapy dramatic. They're trying to, create some tension.
Mm-hmm.
In some parts, this is empathic. In some parts, this is not empathic at all.
Yeah.
Like at first, he kind of has this like, oh God, if that's the end of it, like if he would have stopped halfway through, it would have been like, okay, man, you really like showed me that I'm worthless. I might as well go hurt myself. But then, he comes back with like, if I can't tell you about your life from reading Oliver Twist, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful because it shows us, really that like everyone's situation is so unique and so idiosyncratic. And I think this is where therapy is really beautiful. It's like you get to tell your story. And Robin Williams is putting out there like, hey, I will learn about you. I will hear your story, but you have to tell me.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do therapy if it's just the therapist listening and no one's talking.
Yeah. So I mean, once again, the setting, not a therapy
Right.
not a therapy office. There's a lot
And
of
a park's probably not the best place to have, intimate conversations about your personal life.
And also this is only a 4-minute encounter
Yeah.
where I would be very curious, like what the next 60 minutes would be like in a session with Matt Damon. Like, would he open up after that?
Maybe. It looked like Robin Williams was kind of able to break his wall just a little bit. Like, not much, but as you were saying, he's not as smug in this scene. So maybe there's... I don't know. I would think that maybe the dissociation is because Robin Williams is starting to get to him a little bit, and he doesn't like that. And so he's trying to dissociate from the emotions that are trying to erupt inside of him. Maybe, I don't know.
One thing I talk about in my empathy episode, in my podcast, and I see it here, is like sometimes empathy is saying the truth of the other person's experience, even if it's painful to hear. So, you have all this knowledge, but you haven't experienced life. That's real. That's real. And that's a hard truth. That's a hard truth to feel, because it's like, yeah, you can talk about this, but you've never experienced it. And everything that you have experienced, you don't want to go anywhere near. You have so many defenses. And really that's what's going on, right? The reason why he attacks is because the attack is adaptive. Growing up, if Matt Damon was open, was vulnerable, he would be murdered. I mean, he would be really destroyed, in this hostile environment growing up. You have to be tough, right? So in this situation, it's like, hey, if you open up, that will be success. It's a very different experience.
Yeah.
So, and it takes a while. It takes a while for a lot of people to move away from what was adaptive and now is maladaptive, right? Into a new space where they're able to grow and then able to accomplish their goals through that growth.
What would be some advice that you would give someone to get someone from that stage of trying to change from what they have adapted to that is no longer actually a good defense mechanism for them? Because it's very obvious in Matt Damon's story that he doesn't actually want to. He doesn't want to move in that direction. So
you have to reduce the shame. You have to reduce your own internal shame of the adaptive, now maladaptive response. So you have to see the shame in the situation that you would feel like, I am bad. And if you can reduce the intensity of that, then you can move past the defense. So actually, when someone has the defense, I would say something like, hey, you're entitled to have that defense. It was adaptive, and it was what protected you. So by saying that, by showing them that it was adaptive, that reduces the shame enough to continue to tell the story. I believe it. I believe that it was adaptive. So I'm not saying something that wasn't true, but it's also by empathizing with the distress of the defense, you're able to move through the defense.